After that night, everything changed in the best way possible. Grace was no longer just my best friend. She was mine, and I was hers. And honestly, I had never felt so alive in my entire life. The next morning, she sent me a text. "Good morning, boyfriend." I read it 4 times. Then I screamed into my pillow like a child. Daniel, my roommate, jumped up from his bed in shock. "James, what happened?" I showed him the text. He read it. Then he looked at me. Then he looked back at the text. Then he grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me. I told you to tell her." We were both laughing like idiots at 6 in the morning. Those first weeks with Grace was something I cannot fully explain with words. Everything felt brighter. Food tasted better. Mornings felt easier. Even lectures, which I normally hated, became something I looked forward to, simply because she would be sitting right next to me. We held hands walking to class. We shared food like it was the most natural thing in the world. We stayed up late, not just talking on the phone anymore, but sitting side by side under that same tree where I had first realized I loved her. Her head on my shoulder, my hand in hers, saying nothing, needing nothing, just being together was enough. She used to trace the lines on my palm when she was thinking, slowly, quietly, like she was reading something written there. One evening I asked her, "What are you always looking for when you do that?" She smiled without looking up. "Nothing. I just like that your hand feels familiar, like I have held it before somewhere, in another life maybe." I kissed the top of her head. Neither of us thought anything of it. We should have. A month into our relationship, she told me she wanted us to meet each other's families. Properly, she said, not just phone calls. "I want to go to your house. I want to meet your mom." My chest warmed at that. "Yeah," I said, "I want that too." "Do you think my parents will like me?" she asked. There was something in her voice when she said it. Something small and uncertain, like the question meant more than she was letting on. "Grace, my mom will love you," I told her. "Trust me." She nodded, but something crossed her face for just a second. Something that looked almost like sadness. "What?" I asked. She shook her head quickly. "Nothing. I'm fine." "Grace?" She looked at me, then looked away. "It's just, I don't know much about my own family. I was raised by my aunts. I never knew my parents. And sometimes when people talk about meeting families and going home, I feel this emptiness that I can't explain." My heart hurt for her. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "Don't be," she replied. "You didn't do anything wrong." She rested her head on my chest. "You are my family now, James. That's enough for me." I wrapped my arms around her and held her close. I meant it when I said, "And you are mine." We stayed like that for a long time. 2 people who had found each other. 2 people who felt like they had always belonged together. 2 people who had absolutely no idea that the very thing that made them feel so close, so similar, so perfectly matched, was not just love. It was something else entirely. Something that very soon, a doctor in a cold hospital room would confirm with shaking hands and a face full of disbelief. Everything was perfect. That was the dangerous part. When life is too perfect, something is always coming. Something you never saw. Something you never planned for. And ours came on a Tuesday night. It started as a normal evening. Grace and I had just finished eating together in my room. She was laughing at something Daniel had said. I was washing the plates. The room was warm and full of life and noise. Then I felt it. A sharp pain right in the middle of my chest. I stopped washing. "James?" Grace was looking at me. "I'm fine," I said. "Just tired." But I wasn't fine. My head was suddenly heavy. The room started spinning slowly. My hands gripped the edge of the table. "James, "You don't look fine." And then the plates fell from my hands. And then I fell too. I don't remember hitting the floor. I don't remember Grace screaming my name. I don't remember Daniel running out of the room shouting for help. The next thing I knew, there were bright white lights above me. A ceiling I didn't recognize. A smell, sharp and clean, that told me exactly where I was. Hospital. I tried to sit up. Hey, don't move. Grace. She was right there beside me. Her eyes red and swollen from crying. Her hand gripping mine so tightly it almost hurt. Grace. Shh, she whispered. You are okay. You are okay now. Just don't move. What happened? You collapsed, she said, her voice shaking. You went down and you wouldn't wake up. James, I was so scared. I have never been that scared in my life. Her hands were trembling. Even now, even with me awake and talking, her whole body was still shaking. I'm okay, I told her. Grace, look at me. I'm okay. She looked at me. Tears rolled down her face silently. Don't ever do that again, she whispered. Don't ever scare me like that again. The doctors said I had collapsed from exhaustion and low blood pressure. They needed to run more tests. They needed blood. Grace stood up before I could even open my mouth. Take mine, she said immediately. The nurse looked at her. Are you a family member? Yes, Grace said without blinking. I am. I looked at her from the bed. She caught my eye and gave me a small, soft smile. My chest filled with something warm. She was ready to give her blood for me without a second thought, without hesitation, without waiting to be asked. I had never loved her more than I did in that moment. The nurse nodded and took us both for testing. An hour passed, then 2. Grace sat beside my bed, holding my hand, resting her head at the edge of the mattress. She had cried herself into a light sleep. I watched her quietly. Her face was peaceful now, her breathing slow and steady. I thought to myself, this is the person I want to spend my life with. This one right here. I thought about the future, our future, finishing college together, getting jobs, building something real. I thought about how I was going to introduce her to my mother, how happy my mother would be, how right everything was going to feel. I closed my eyes and smiled. But then I heard footsteps. I opened my eyes. The doctor was walking towards us, a tall man with glasses and a clipboard in his hand. But something was wrong. His face was not normal. He wasn't walking like a doctor who had good news. He was walking slowly, carefully, like a man carrying something very heavy. He stopped at my bed. He looked at me. Then he looked at Grace, still half asleep beside me. Then back at me. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again, and said, Mr. James, I need to speak with you privately. There's something in your results that I don't quite know how to explain. My heart moved. What do you mean? I asked quietly. What is wrong? The doctor looked down at his clipboard. Then he looked back up at me with an expression I will never forget for the rest of my life. And the word he said next changed everything. The doctor looked at me, and the word he said next was not what I expected, not even close. Mr. James, he said slowly, when did you last speak to your parents about your birth history? I blinked. My what? Your birth. Your early childhood. He shifted his glasses. Is there anything about your family background that you are perhaps not fully aware of? My stomach turned. Doctor, what is going on? Just tell me straight. He pulled a chair close to my bed and sat down. He placed the clipboard on his lap and folded his hands on top of it. When we ran the blood compatibility tests between you and your friend, he said, carefully, glancing at Grace, who was still lightly dozing beside me, we noticed something unusual in the DNA markers. Unusual how? The markers were very close, Mr. James. Far too close for two people who simply are friends or even a couple. He paused. We ran the test twice to be sure. The result was the same both times. The room felt colder suddenly. What are you saying? My voice came out barely above a whisper. The doctor looked me directly in the eyes. Mr. James, he said quietly, I am saying that this young lady may be a blood relative, a very close one, possibly a sibling. The word hit me like a wall. Sibling. Sister. The room started spinning again, but not from low blood pressure this time. That is not possible, I said. My voice was shaking. That is not possible. I don't have a sister. I am an only child. My parents only had me. Are you certain of that? The doctor asked carefully. Completely certain. I opened my mouth and closed it again, because suddenly, out of nowhere, a memory came rushing back. A memory from when I was about 9 years old. I had walked into the sitting room and found my mother crying, quietly, to herself, thinking nobody could see her. I had asked her what was wrong. She quickly wiped her face and smiled and said, Nothing, my son. I just miss someone I lost a long time ago. I had asked who. She had shaken her head and said, Nobody you need to worry about. And she never brought it up again. I had completely forgotten about that moment until right now.
Mr. James, the doctor's voice pulled me back. I realized my hands were shaking. He would need a more thorough DNA test to confirm everything properly, he said. But I strongly advise you to speak with your family, specifically your parents, as soon as possible. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. The doctor stood up, gave me one last careful look, and walked away quietly. And I sat there, alone with my thoughts. Alone with a truth that felt like a knife sitting in the middle of my chest. I looked at Grace. She was still sleeping. Her face still peaceful, still soft, still beautiful. Still the person I loved more than anyone in the world. I watched her and felt something crack inside me so deeply that I didn't even have words for it. Because how was I supposed to look at her now? How was I supposed to hold her hand now? How was I supposed to say I love you now? She stared slightly. Her eyes fluttered open. She saw me looking at her and smiled that smile, that warm, familiar smile that had made me fall in love with her in the first place. Hey, she said softly, how are you feeling? I looked at her, and my eyes filled with tears I refused to let fall. I'm okay, I lied. Because how could I tell her? How could I look at the woman I loved and tell her that the doctor had just suggested that she might be my sister?